Good morning, Elle Ingalls here at pressure-free.com. If you're watching this on the day I post it, happy Valentine's Day. And whether it's your pet or someone a person, there's love in the air today. So you are never alone. There's always someone or some energy that cares about you. Uh, Topic today, blaming and shaming. If you've been following me, I love the Olympics and I've been watching the Olympics every evening. Last night was the men's final, the long program that decides the medals, and it was quite surprising if you watched it or if you've seen any headlines today. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could have been so perfect in practice over and over again, and then things fall apart. And the real reason things fall apart, of course, is that we go into fight or flight, and suddenly the body tenses up, and things are just not moving the way they need to move and doing what you know you can do. What I find interesting is that if you listened carefully, um, when our American got in the kiss and cry section, one of the first things that he said to his coach was that he felt that if he had performed in the Olympics 4 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. He said something along those lines. I need to rewatch it to get the exact wording. He moved into what I call blaming and shaming. It was an immediate response. And that is such a natural response when things aren't going the way that we want them to go. If this is the expectation for him was gold, and he didn't even make the podium. So here's what actually happened. We're seeking the answers for the gap, and our brain is so desperate in fight or flight to have reasons why, to rationalize and justify what's going on. I've mentioned this before. When we are angry, you will move into an overreaction with anger because you're desperate to find those reasons why. It's the same thing with blaming and shaming. So if we feel ashamed, in this case, ashamed of the performance, because this is what he expected and pretty much the whole world expected, and this is what happened, that's a huge gap. And so he instantly wanted to blame something, have a reason why. I think having a reason why is a more pressure-free approach to saying blaming, to be honest. But we're finger pointing. I have a little graphic in my workbooks for my clients and slides where there's these fingers pointing all over the place at this guy. So either we'll blame something else, something external, or we'll feel ashamed ourselves. We'll point the finger at us. You can notice this anytime, again, your expectations are here and this is happening. There's a book by Benjamin Hardy and Kennedy. It's a business book called The Gap and the Gain. It's so applicable to really anything in our life. If this is the expectation, this is where we hear this gap here, or this is the goal. Let's put it this way. This is the goal. This is the target, what we're headed for. And we're making progress. We're making progress. We're here. In this case, he's here at the Olympics, right? That's amazing. That in itself is amazing. But didn't make it to the actual goal. We focus on the gap rather than what we've gained. So you can take a look in this particular book, it was focused on business. So we have a business goal. Let's say you have a money goal and you're here. It's really easy to focus on this huge gap here instead of the progress you've made here. But it's this progress that you've made here that as you put more focus on that, that changes the trajectory and opens you to actually expanding more and be able to hit more. So that's like a critical thing when you're working on something that is a big target. Like they say, eat the elephant one bite at a time. That's a weird expression, but I've heard it said. Um, and I think of it this way, celebrate every little incremental gain. When we celebrate every little incremental gain, there is an openness to that and a force that helps us even take it to another level. Very few things are actually linear. Things are exponential. You can look at an oak tree and see exponentially how many acorns it produces. It doesn't produce just one acorn. It produces many acorns. So there's a lot of examples in nature of this like one little thing happening and exponential growth happening. It's the same for us. We grew exponentially to become the size we are today. So I have a tool that I start my clients out on. If I'm giving a group presentation, I nearly always end by sharing this particular tool, whether I've shared other tools in the seminar or not. This one to me is kind of funny on purpose, but I call it the Celebration Ferris Wheel. And if you don't like Ferris wheels or rides, we're not getting on, so don't worry about that. Also, you can turn instead of a Ferris wheel, you can do a three-point shot, like pretend you're shooting a basketball, it's just swishing right through the hoop very successfully. So, what is this tool? Most of us are in the hamster wheel. We're grinding. We're in the hamster wheel and we're running, and it can be very exhausting. And our weight is in the wheel, slowing the wheel down as well. So we're pushing, we're trying really, really hard. And we're probably triggering the stress response over and over, and we're moving into the blaming and shaming, and we're feeling worse and worse. So step out of the hamster wheel, get around behind it, turn it into pretty little colors. You can put music in your Ferris wheel, whatever you want. We're not getting on, we're just pushing it. And someone asked me, why this image? Why are we pushing a wheel? Well, it's to get out of the hamster wheel, number one, but also the wheel to me is a representation of the spinning of our electrons, which I talked about on my show yesterday. It's a life-giving energy force of just movement. There's some other reasons too. We'll get into those in a moment. So you push this Ferris wheel. If you do it with me right now, so push up in the air, leave your arms up, and now bring your arms down to the sides. And you've just opened up this whole area and done what I call get above the line. So when the skaters were falling last night on the Olympics, you could see their energy drop and coil down. It wasn't radiating out. They were no longer giving to the audience. They were no longer in the spirit of contribution that I talked about yesterday. Suddenly it was all inner, all focused in, and the tension was there. So when you push up like this, or just lift your ribs up, if it's not appropriate to go like this, though this is important too. But if you lift your ribs up and get up and over the situation, now you can observe, now you can correct, and you're much less apt to go into blaming and shaming because you just interrupted the release of stress hormones. So in that 10-second window, when you start to feel anything, you push up in the air. Now, it's a motion on purpose because a big motion like this helps your brain open new neural pathways quickly, helps things open and create you can create new habits very easily if you do a big motion. So that's one of the factors. Second factor, well, we did the posture. So posture's up, open new neural pathways. So body, mind. And then the third thing is hopefully you smile a little bit. If you smile, you keep neuropeptides circulating in your cortex and hippocampus that allow your brain to stay online, allow all of the functioning of the brains, all the neurotransmitters to work well. In fight or flight, we shut down the outer part of our brain. So you're keeping the lights on. Fourth part of this is that you're celebrating. I encourage you to celebrate, even if the thing is horrible. Like what just happened is horrible. We saw that a bit with the skater last night. He didn't win, but he went right away and congratulated the Kazakhstanian who did. This young man from Kazakhstan wins the gold. It's incredible. It's just incredible. And he embraced him and he taught to him and he instantly went into contribution, which I thought was a really beautiful thing to see. So Celebration Ferris Wheel, we're celebrating. Even if you're too late and you feel your face turn red and your body is tense, I still want you to celebrate because you noticed a particular trigger. And in that moment, you started to do something different. So the next time that trigger comes along, you'll probably have stand a much better chance of interrupting it. It takes practice, just like the thousands and thousands of hours it took for Ilya to be able to do those quads and do quad axle. Like it takes hours and hours of practice. It's the same thing with pressure free. That's why with my clients, I say, I'm just stepping right beside you. My clients can actually text me anytime. If I'm sleeping with family on a call with someone, I'm on the call with you right now, then my phone is off. But when it's on and I see the text come through, I'm right there for them. I remember I had an executive who had a huge meeting, and about 20 minutes before the meeting, they reached out to me, and we just got on the phone for a few minutes, and I just got them settled so they could go into the meeting and do really well. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, we forget our tools. That's why celebrating these little tiny gains can be very, very helpful. So you're pushing the Ferris wheel, you're celebrating, raising the roof. Now, if you do this all day, maybe we need a different motion for you. I do have a coach who goes like this every time we get on camera. It's very fun. Um, and again, if you don't like the idea of a Ferris wheel, imagine a three-point shot. If you shoot a basketball, well, that spinning of the basketball, the backspin that comes off your hands, hits the backboard, zoops right into that, or maybe it's just right through the net. Like you can visualize that whole successful thing. Um, so celebration is definitely a piece of this. Again, because we can be plodding along, working really hard, and never take the time to celebrate these little moments where things are working and things are getting better. Um, I know that was the case for me a lot of the times in my life. I was just like pushing, pushing, pushing so hard, and I never took even a moment to celebrate my progress. Um, I'm super, super disciplined in a lot of things, so just like work, 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 work. But those little mini celebrations, even just going like this, can really fuel your success. The other thing I have for you today is to notice if you start to say, well, if only, and then if only they had put me in the Olympics 4 years ago. That was the sentiment that the American skater had last night. If only, um, if only I'd worked harder, I would have gotten better grades. If only I would have gotten this promotion. So we can move into if only or why can't I questions, if or why in general. If you feel yourself moving into some of those questions or statements, you're probably in the gap. Those are signs that you're in this gap. The gap again is here are your expectations, and this is where you are, and you haven't made it here yet. Yet. There will be other Olympics in 4 years. Seems like a long time away, but that's what we have here is this gap. So that's what I have for you today. It's powerful to start to notice that we're falling into the gap instead of looking at what we've gained. It's powerful to notice your thoughts and stop the release of the hormones, and it manifests in preventing us, those hormones manifest in preventing us from making progress, from hitting the jumps we thought we would hit last night, right? So I hope you have a great pressure-free day. And if you need any help with this, if you're curious and want to know more, you can always hop on lingles.com or pressure-free.com and we can have a conversation. So wish you a great day.